Hey there, it's Craig, and I have a simple question for you. When you're looking for a job, how do you decide to apply or skip a job posting? Join me for episode 167 of the Career Growth Made Easy podcast, where we're going to talk about this. Your skills can pay the bills. That's right, but it's not what you think. So join me to find out what we're talking about. I was an engineer, and in 2008, lost my job due to the economic collapse. Jobs were scarce. I didn't know where to turn to get help updating my resume. Online services and coaches charge hundreds, even thousands of dollars. I took matters into my own hands and learned how to craft interview-winning resumes. Shortly later, I landed a job with a Fortune 500 company. I have helped many achieve similar success. Now I share my tips to create interview-winning resumes, interviewing excellence, and high-performance growth strategies on my podcast, Career Growth Made Easy. Hey there, you're listening to another episode of the Career Growth Made Easy podcast, and I am your host, Craig Ansell. Thank you for joining me. In the intro, I asked you a simple question. When you're looking for a job, how do you decide if you're going to apply or skip that job posting? I'm going to start out with a quote from the late Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. What's that about, Craig? Well, let me break down that quote and tell you what it means to me. We can be our own worst enemies. We can also be the best supporters we have in our lives, believing in ourselves, being able to move forward, conquer things, achieve new highs, new talents, new skills. But self-doubt can also play a really powerful role and sabotage us. So with that quote, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. It's all about the power of our mindset. Whether we're looking for a new job, our first job, a second job, or flat out we're thinking about changing careers and we're unhappy with what we're doing. So when you look for a job, how do you decide what to apply to and what to skip? I'll tell you, it's possible that we sabotage ourselves, each and every one of us, even me. That's right, even Coach Craig. We could be limiting ourselves before we even give ourselves the chance to apply for that new role that sounds oh so interesting. The reason why, we typically would use our past job titles as keywords for our next job. Oh, I worked in this fast food industry. I was a server, or I was a table busser, cleaning tables, or I worked in maintenance. I was a cashier. I was counter help. Whatever the position, the role may be, we sometimes define ourselves by our job titles, and that can be a flaw. Because unless we're going to apply for the same role or similar role and similar job title at another company, then we don't see that we have much more to offer. Now, this isn't true for everyone, but I know I've let this process, this self-limiting process, cause me problems when applying for jobs or actually skipping some jobs I was really interested in because I just didn't see that I had the capabilities, the talent, or the ability to add value to that job, so why bother applying? I think it's important that we look at our history, our job history, our experience history to see what capabilities, what value we can bring to future potential employers. It's kind of like stretching yourself, pushing the boundaries with your skill sets. When we talk about resumes and the bullets that we usually put underneath our job titles, that helps define the work we did, right? But all too often, it ends up being a job description or something called the scope of work. What scope, what job responsibilities you had. And it's okay to talk about tasks in that way, and putting bullets down can help you start to form your thoughts about how you're going to update or create your first resume. But in the end, resumes aren't about tasks. They're about the values that you have brought and the values you can bring to a future employer. Think of it this way, and then we'll get into some more core content about your skills today, paying the bills. Let's say there's two of you applying for the same job, and you're from the same school, so you have, let's assume, a similar upbringing and a similar skill set. If you both had worked in similar positions or had limited work experience, maybe were on the same teams in the school, whatever the case may be, your resumes would look rather similar, with the exception of your contact information. How is someone going to determine to hire one of you over the other? It's if your resume goes above and beyond defining the values that you're going to bring to a future employer. If you have work history and you've already accomplished some tasks, some significant things, don't just put down the tasks. Put down how you accomplished them. Were there any specifics, any data, any quantities, any values you can put down to show what you've done? The point here is skipping the job description and going into the details of what you accomplished is significant because that goes beyond the job title. That goes into your skill set, what makes each and every one of us unique and different. Using your skills, the focus of today's show, can pay the bills. But you might say, Craig, I knew that all along. But it's in the most unlikely way. We're trying to get out of the mindset that when we apply for jobs, I've only done this, so I can only apply for that, or I don't know anything about that. I've never worked a job with that title or with that role. You'd be surprised if you sat down and wrote down or typed up what some of the activities you've done in your past jobs, whether it's volunteering, internships, paying jobs, even after school activities, right? What roles have you played? What have you learned? What are you capable of? What values do you have? That's where I want to break this whole thing open, break it wide open, and talk about the skills you possess will help you going forward. Try to get out of the mindset of job titles, because I've talked to a number of people in my coaching experience. Some paid clients, some I met on the streets while being in Central Florida, and some were, listeners of my show. And we just had brief conversations. And a couple times this phrase came up, I am only a, or I only know this. One example was, I'm only a banker. Well, how long have you been in banking? Over 20 years. Wow. Okay. I don't know the first thing about banking except being a customer, going in, writing checks, getting cash out if I need it, depositing things, paying bills, stuff like that. I don't know what it takes to be a banker. Highly appreciate that and respect them for being in that role. But that person, 20 years experience, it's unlikely they did the same thing for 20 years. And if they happened to, they'd be really good at it. What made them stay? Why were they better than others? What did they do faster, smarter, easier than others, right? Work smarter, not harder. Then I ran into a hairstylist, and the hairstylist said something similar. I only know hairstylists. Only know hairstyling. Well, is that true? Do you do anything else? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with knowing hairstyling. I think it's great. I need my hair done every now and then, haircuts and such. But that word is limiting to us. I only know. But I'm only a. This is where we want to break that mold open today. Look at the skills you possess. Yes, I'm repeating this for a reason. Dig deep down inside. Write it down on paper so you can look back and see what you're capable of, the value you can bring. Need to? Type it up. Put it down on your phone, on a notepad app, whatever the case is. This information ultimately can be put down on your resume as values you bring to a future employer, trying to avoid listing all your tasks or activities unless you can explain them in a way that shows greater value than someone else. It's about the passion that you have inside. It's unlocking that passion and bringing value. Also, don't want to harp on past jobs only or work experience only. I think we should also dive deep inside, and we should look at our hobbies, maybe special interests, Any volunteering? Or how about extracurricular activities if you're still in school? Where did you really light up? Where did you really spark a fire? What did you enjoy when you were involved in these things? Again, hobbies, special interests, volunteering, extracurricular. There's a number of things you can think about. Some jobs may even prefer or even require a certification or a certain time period of experience before you apply. And if you don't have that formal degree, maybe you want to begin working towards it. Consider applying for or sending the hiring company an email. You can combine your work-life experiences to try to meet the time requirements. That could be a plus. You can be creative here. Find ways to open new doors and new opportunities. Don't let job titles hold you back is one of the key messages today. If it's what you've done, yes, okay. But it's more about what you're capable of. Job titles, yes, that's who I was. I was a server way back when at McDonald's and way back when I transitioned to Wendy's when they were first coming out in New Jersey back in the day. So I was a server. I was a team member, but that's not what I am today. Those are experiences and those are values that I brought to customers at the time and to the company, and they paid me and compensated me for my time. So remember, whatever you think might be holding you back, polish up on your skills. Identify the skills and values that you have that are strongest, and identify those that might be not so strong, the weakest or weaker areas. Are those things that you think if you polish up, get additional training on, more hand skills, that you might be able to move into a new role? Don't let job titles hold you back. Think about the value you bring and possible opportunities going forward. I mentioned two things in the past, and I talked about, but I'm only, or all I know is. Remember this, that is self-limiting behavior, self-limiting thought. To unlock your full potential, you need to dive deep inside and recognize what you're capable of. Has anybody ever told you you're really great at a specific hobby or task, or you're really quick when it comes to computing things or calculating things? You think really great on your feet. I've noticed that in high stress or emergency situations, you really take command and control. There might be things that just come natural to you that don't to others, and you might take it for granted. That's where talking to a friend, a family member, work peers, student friends could come in handy to see what would they say about you if they had to describe you. This is an easy way to stay quiet, the 2 ears, 1 mouth method, right? Listen twice as much as you talk and absorb what they're sharing about you. You might unlock some skill sets and values you weren't aware of that you had or that you took for granted. These are things that, if applied properly, can help you move forward in education and also in your work, as well as internships. If you're having trouble and you don't know what your next steps are or where to go, and you think, I'm just stuck in this position, I'm stuck in this job, all I know is X, Y, Z, and you have some of these self-limiting thoughts or behavior, don't worry, help is here. I've helped dozens of people in these situations and coached hundreds of others on different topics and matters. Feel free to reach out to me, craigancel.com, that's CRAIGANCEL.com, and click the coaching tab. I have a program called Discovery Coaching where I'll work with you. We'll team up to identify your core skills, values, the passions you have, what you're capable of so that you can pay the bills better going forward, and help you get on your path to recovery and improvement. So if you feel stuck, don't go through it alone. I'm here to assist you as your discovery coach. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. We are closing up episode 167. I can't believe it either. We've been going for quite a few years. Thank you for being a valuable listener and staying tuned to the end. You ever need to reach out to me, you can do so on social media at Craig Ansell for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and you can email me directly, craig@craigansell.com. Thank you so much again. I will talk to you next week. God bless. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel. New episodes every Monday. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on social media at Craig Ansell on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To book a coaching appointment, download our free guides, or join our email list, check out the links in the description below.